My name is Gavin Holohan. With me is Sarah Heimbeck. She's the lead prosecutor on this case. And this is to announce additional charges that are filed against Joshua Deschant and Tracy Deschant. At the outset, I would like to remind you that as in every criminal case, the fact that arrests have occurred and that new complaints have been filed, these are accusations, and that every defendant is presumed innocent until and unless they are proven guilty. But the charges that are filed, these are additional charges. The original charges that we filed remain in place, but these are new charges that are filed. Joshua Deschant has got a date of birth of December 30, 1988. His wife is Tracy Deschant. The date of birth is September 3rd, 1982. They were charged today. The charges involve the same two victims as the original charges. They are charged with 2 counts each. It is criminal conspiracy to commit murder of the 3rd degree. They're charged with aggravated assault. All of those counts are felonies of the 1st degree. They're also charged with intimidation of a witness, 2 counts each. And they're also charged with unlawful restraint, 2 counts each for each of the children, and false imprisonment of a minor. Both of the defendants turned themselves in today, and they've been arraigned. Bail has been set at $200,000 each. My understanding is that they're in the process of being processed, booked, and trying to post that bail now. They will have preliminary hearings that will be set by the magistrate, depending on when they post their bail. This stems from the original investigation, and the same, as I said, the same 2 victims. This started back in Lower Macungie Township at 1271 Divot, D-I-V-O-T Drive, when one of the 2 victims was found in the neighborhood, mostly naked. He reported to neighbors that he had been disciplined by being sent out of the house on a night where the temperatures were in single digits. Neighbors took him in. He was ultimately taken to the hospital, where he was found to be in significant medical distress. It was later learned the investigation revealed his twin brother was in the same type of physical condition. Both victims then relayed to law enforcement and to Child Protective Services details of the abuse they suffered in the home. That abuse included the denial of food and water, using the withdrawal of food and water as punishment for the boys, forcing them to walk around in the house and outside naked as punishment, forcing them to stand outside naked in freezing temperatures, and forcing them to sleep on the floor, forcing them to share a single blanket between the 2 boys. They were treated at the hospital over a course of multiple days before they were able to be released from the hospital. Their injuries that were observed at the hospital were consistent with what they had told authorities as to the way they were treated. As we said earlier, when they were admitted to the hospital, one of the twins weighed about 53 pounds. The second twin weighed about 55 pounds. They were 15 years old. Medical personnel have since related to us that healthy boys of their size should weigh about 143 pounds and be about 5'8" tall. The doctors have then evaluated these children and told us that they should be they are now approximately a foot shorter than they would be anticipated to have been had they received proper nutrition, proper medical care through the course of their life. According to growth charts that have been developed by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, these 2 boys combined weigh about the same as an average healthy 12-year-old boy should be. Give you an idea, kind of put in context how long that went on for and what they looked like. The medical records that we've been able to obtain appear to show that over the past 8 years, each of the 2 gained about 10 pounds. As part of the ongoing investigation, the medical providers have seen the children, have treated them. They've now been released. They've both been released from the hospital. They have a host of medical issues, including severe malnutrition. They include issues like heart arrhythmia. So they're suffering from vitamin deficiencies, scurvy. Medical personnel said if left untreated, these medical issues would result in their death. It is unclear now whether their short stature and their stunted growth will remain a permanent impact or whether they will be able to make up for that over the next couple of years of their life. The punishments that they received included what we determined to be life-threatening injuries. These charges, conspiracy to 3rd-degree murder, I'll remind you that conspiracy is a crime in and of itself. It's an agreement to commit another crime, and that in and of itself is a crime, even if the underlying crime is not committed. So neither one of these boys has died, so there is no murder that has taken place. but the agreement to commit a murder or the agreement, shared criminal intent to have that happen is in itself a crime. So the conspiracy to third-degree murder, we believe, and these allegations are, that the conduct of both Joshua Deschant and Tracy Deschant, that they engaged in a course of conduct that displayed a conscious disregard that their actions could result in substantial harm or serious bodily injury or even death to the two boys. So the Commonwealth alleges that both of the defendants, acting in concert with each other, engaged in a lengthy course of conduct toward the two victims, which showed malice toward the children. Now, malice has a special meaning in this context. It's got a legal definition that we think applies, and it's the state of mind required for a third-degree murder. In this case, and I'll read it specifically, malice in this context includes a wickedness of disposition, a hardness of heart, cruelty, recklessness of consequences, and a conscious disregard of an unjustified and extremely high risk that their actions might cause death or serious bodily injury. By charging the two Deschants with a conspiracy to commit third-degree murder, we believe that the evidence supports that they had malice toward these two boys, that their conduct displays that, and they agreed with what they were doing. Some of the evidence obtained since the date of their original arrest includes digital evidence, pictures taken, videos that were obtained, that the parents both knew what was happening, they knew the extent of the harm that was caused to the children, and that they agreed with each other that this is what their intent was. This case will be prosecuted by Senior Deputy District Attorney Sarah Heimbach. It's investigated by the Pennsylvania State Police. The lead trooper is Stephen Puczynski, and the preliminary hearing date, like I said, for the new charges is yet to be set. I'll remind you once again that as in every criminal case, the allegations are what they are, and people are presumed to be innocent until they are proven guilty. If there are any questions, Attorney Heimbach and I are prepared to answer them.
How many years did this abuse go on for?
As I said, Attorney Heimbach is more knowledgeable about the individual facts, so I'll let her step to the microphone.
I can't give you an exact amount of time just based on the investigation and the physical state of the boys. Approximately 2 years it has been at this level of neglect.
Were they going to school? I know there were concerns if they were being homeschooled or going to school. Has that been determined?
They were enrolled in a homeschooling program. My understanding, and this is more of just kind of information that we've gotten through the troopers as much as we could, is that they were certainly not in any type of brick and mortar school where they would be seen regularly and have the eyes and ears of a teacher and other professionals to monitor them.
Where are the boys now?
They're with family.
Still with family. They're not in the system.
They are currently living with a family member.
What about the other kids? Are they also with other family members, the younger kids?
I believe that some are with family members, and I believe there are others that are in other placements that are not familial placements.
Are there concerns they were also facing a stigma of abuse?
No. The physical state of the other children is normal. Normal weight, normal height, participated in activities. There is no indication that there was any type of treatment like this against the other children that remain in the home.
Can you share why there was a fixation on these twin boys then?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know the answer to that. It'd be something that would certainly like to know.
Are the other kids enrolled in public schools?
No.
And are the twins the oldest?
No.
The photos and videos that were taken from parents' phones, they didn't show any kind of sexual abuse, did they? Just the physical abuse that is included in it?
Right now, there's no charges related to sexual abuse, but the investigation is ongoing. We have no evidence that there's sexual abuse at this time.
Could there be additional charges?
The investigation continues, so the answer is yes. At this point, we filed what we believe is appropriate at this point, but as always in these cases, the investigation continues. There's more evidence to be revealed, we may get more information from the community or more digital evidence as it becomes available. And if new charges become appropriate, yeah, we'll file additional charges if appropriate.
Now, the twin boys have an older sister, and she was also subject to sexual abuse?
Yeah, it's in the affidavit. You can talk
Yeah,
about it.
they have an older sister that is approximately 20 years old at this point in time. She did speak with Pennsylvania State Police and indicated that she was subject to similar treatment, however, not to the extent that was inflicted upon the boys.
I know this was his stepdad. How long ago did the parents get married? Do you know that?
I don't know that off the top of my head. I think it is just based on the information that I do know as far as the ages of their biological children. It would have been at least 11 to 12 years ago.
Did this family ever have any contact with the system, children in need? Were the police ever out there for complaints prior to all this? Or?
And that's the sort of thing we can't answer for you.
Well, follow up on that question then. So the kids were homeschooled, they weren't seen by anyone like a teacher or a doctor or anyone that could have stepped in and helped prevent what led up to this years ago? Or is there some kind of systematic failure here?
Well, it's hard to say it's a systematic failure in the sense that parents are allowed to raise their children the way they see fit. So they're not required to take children to a doctor. They're not required to take their children to school. Of course, you would hope that the community would see things, but the reality is that in this case, these kids were hidden from public view, and the abuse was allowed to happen, but hidden from public view. But yeah, there's no requirement that parents make their children available to the public to be inspected, so that sort of thing. I don't know if that answers your question or not.
Well, it does, but unfortunately you can't comment on if there was some type of...
Correct, yeah. So as you know from prior conversations, there are things that we can talk about and then there are things we can't talk about because we have to respect the right of the accused to a fair trial. So we don't talk about prior involvement in the system, prior involvement in the criminal system, and even the child protective system would violate those rules that we have to abide by.
And then, are all of these children her natural children or any of these children adopted?
They are all her biological children.
How many kids in total?
There are now 7.
Any other questions that we can answer? All right, thank you very much.